Well, good morning, church family. Thank you so much for joining us for another Straight Talk. And we're really excited this morning because we get to catch you up on new staff position and some transition with small group ministry. And so I want to take a few moments to introduce our guests, which most all of you know, but have been a part of this process, which is really been helpful. So Sharon Woolmington on the far right there, she has been our small group coordinator, and we're going to go back and talk a little bit about the history of small groups. And then Kim, she wears several hats around here, but she's on the admin team, but also Kim helps with personnel review and has been on the last few hiring teams that we've done, so helped a lot with hiring. And then Mitzi, a dear friend of the church, of all of us, has done so many things behind the scenes here at ClearView, over the last 15 years. And we're really excited because Mitzi's going to be joining us on staff for full-time staff. And so as we talked about at the budget meeting, that we were approving a budget to take a part-time staff member and go full-time staff, and we would be letting you know. We said we have somebody we're pursuing that we're hoping that'll work out. We weren't able to disclose that because of Mitzi's job and kind of the timing of all those discussions, but we are thrilled that she has said yes. And so she's going to be joining us in January. So we want to talk a little bit this morning about how did we get to this point, kind of the process to honor Sharon and small groups as she is getting ready to retire. And Kim's going to talk a little bit about the job description. Mitzi's going to give us a little snapshot of what she's been doing at Crew and what she's excited about. And then at the beginning of the year, we'll have some time to get to know Mitzi more. So I just want to take a few minutes. But before we get into it, I wanted to tell all of you, you don't get to see these three women up in front very often. For some of you that haven't been involved for very long, it's hard to know all the things that happen behind the scenes at ClearView. But I would say, as I was preparing for this, I was thinking these three ladies have been so incredibly important to the life of this church for us thriving. And when I think of, support for me, support for our staff, you guys are just so important to me, so important to our staff, and in ways that nobody really hears about, as far as small group, as far as Kim with so much with the personnel and admin team, walking with our staff in so many different ways, helping with staff process, all that kind of stuff. Mitzi, you have walked with me and Catherine for a lot of years, and especially when we didn't really have a staff, I would call Mitzi a lot and say, what am I supposed to do with this situation? How do I navigate this? What do you think about this? She's come in and helped with children's ministry. She's come and helped out in some administrative ways. She's in a small group. She serves meals, and Kim helps with this on youth group nights. She's helped. She's in a small group. I mean, there's just so many ways you have been a servant and a help in this church. And so really, this is about probably a 10-year dream for me that Mitzi would join us on staff. Timing hasn't been right for her, for us, but as this started to come together, it really felt like a God thing. So I really love you ladies, and I'm really thankful for you. So we're going to start with Sharon, and this is, it's celebrating where small groups coming from, but it's also, we're starting to kind of grieve this whole process of her not being on staff, because she brings so much life to our staff and to our church. But tell us, how did small groups begin and where does it come?
We were approached, my husband and I, my husband's Bob Woolmington, and we were approached by Bill Sweegert, who was the pastor at the time, and his wife, Marilyn. And that was in the fall of 2004. And it was with the idea that the church needed small groups and community outside of Sunday morning as the church was growing. So they allowed me to get up and present that on a Sunday morning in January of 2005. And we had on that one day 100 people sign up for small groups. So we just had an explosion and a birth of small groups that continued for quite a while, about that size. And we were volunteering at the time. And so we volunteered from 2005 to 2017, leading small group leadership. And by that time, it had grown to 200 people. And it had gotten a little out of hand as a volunteer position. And I went to Zach and said, I think I have to throw in the towel because I can't devote that much time anymore with my other day job. So they hired me and put me on staff part-time, and that solved it all and gave a devotion to small groups that came to the forefront in staff and with planning year-round. And I have been on staff part-time for 5 years. Mm-hmm. And so from 17 to 21, that's been my role.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, it's been awesome. And the foundation that you've built. We also have a small group leadership team that works with Sharon, and I get to be a part of that, both Catherine and I. And so it's been really neat to see how God's worked in that ministry and the miracles, the way he's connected people. And I would say, especially through the pandemic, one of the things that happened was we realized that without the small group ministry and without the leadership of those small group leaders, that the church would have been very disjointed, and the small group leaders, many of you are watching, you all got creative, you sacrificed, you called, you gathered at places, and you didn't gather at times, but you really
we got Zoom accounts.
Yep. Learned how to do Zoom, all of those kinds of things, and really cared for one another well. And I think one of the reasons that we're at a place where we're able to say this ministry is continuing to grow, ClearView, in large part is due to the heart of the church, which I think is small group ministries. So well, we love you, and it's been awesome. And Sharon's going to still be involved in different ways and encouraging and all those things, but hopefully have a little more time to do other things. so that'll be great. Well, Kim and I, we do staff reviews, have been doing staff reviews every year. And I think it was 2 years ago that Sharon said, I think something's stirring in me, and more money won't help. I think that I'm ready to retire, do something else. So we've been praying about this transition for a couple of years, and it kind of got paused because the pandemic hit, and then probably for a year, real seriously, we've been saying, Lord, what do you have? What do you want to do with this ministry? And so Kim, tell us a little bit about the process of us getting to this point from where you see it, how we got to the point of inviting Mitzi on.
Right. Thank you, Sharon, first of all,
Yeah.
for getting us started. What we, really at the beginning of that 2 years, there's always just the sense in terms of the admin team that something's shaking, that we need another staff member. Mm-hmm. And we have watched that happen in a variety of ways over many years that we've been going to church here, and not ever really knowing for sure what that needs to look like. And so when Sharon presented a couple years ago that she was ready to retire, we really needed to start rethinking, and but still, again, not really sure what that would look like. Mm-hmm. And then over the last couple of years of this pandemic, a rather unexpected thing happened in terms of numbers of people that were becoming a part of ClearView, either online or in person. And along with those numbers comes great need. Mm-hmm. And especially in the last couple of years, the need has been emotionally great, financially for many people. But again, because small groups has been the core of how we stayed functioning well through that time, we needed a person that could take the reins of small group leadership, but also try to address how we integrate these new people that are coming, and how we not only integrate them into the life of the church, but how do we create a way for spiritual development and spiritual growth. And so that's the conversation that came to the forefront, and realizing that we were going to need, those are three big ticket items to take on. And so we knew that the staff needed extra support in doing some of those kinds of things. I think we have a wonderful staff, and they all do some of that, at a level of their own ministry, but really have somebody to help support the staff as they try to create really strong volunteer teams, lots of things like that in terms of spiritual support and development. So that's where that's the direction that the job description took.
Yeah. 3 main areas: small group ministry, just caring for our leaders and developing leaders, starting new groups. That whole integration piece. How do we help the congregation and all of us make space for people, and then help people find pathways to get involved? And then as people come through the doors, having more help too, and listening and caring. We call it spiritual direction, helping people discover what's God doing and how is he working. So as this started to develop, there was this, wow, there's somebody among us who really, this is her passion. Unfortunately, she's doing a lot of that for somebody else. I wonder if she would be willing to join us. And so we were able to approach Mitzi. And Mitzi, tell us a little bit about what was stirring for you during that time. Start first, before we get into that, with what you've been doing for your career and your ministry. Give us a little bit of...
Well, I can say it's been an adventure for sure. I joined staff from a teaching career back in 1992. And was on a campus and doing campus ministry and leading small groups with college students. The last 17 years, I've been working with doing leadership development and human resources for our inner city teams nationally. So in LA, New York, and basically what I did was just would help teams continue to be strong, resolve conflict if there was a conflict within the team, help them in their development if they wanted to develop in some areas. So it was a variety of different things. And then the last 3 years have been doing some HR processes, human resource processes, like writing job descriptions, helping with transfers, those types of things. So that's kind of been the last 17 years.
Yeah. And Crew is the organization, the ministry she's been working with, which used to be Campus Crusade.
Yes.
Some people still don't
Yeah.
make that connection.
Right.
And that was has been a really great season for you, hasn't it?
It has. I think I grew probably the most in my Christian walk with Crew. Learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about ministry, and even how to engage with people that are very different than I am, which has been really eye-opening.
Yeah.
So,
and meanwhile, even though that's happened from all over the place, you've been living in BV, you've been involved at ClearView.
Yes.
You've been involved in a small group, and all of those kinds of things, serving in so many different ways. So one of the neat things is you really have a heart for the Lord above all else, a heart for our church, but you really understand our history, you understand kind of what makes us click. At the same time, you have ministry experience from a lot of different cultures, background. You've worked in the inner city. You've dealt with lots of things that your eyes as a staff member, I think, are really going to help us see some areas of growth and ways that we can be stronger, we can be better. Also, do you mind mentioning you're part of some further training at Denver Seminary?
Yeah. Well, I've been on a journey with that as well. I did a Soul Care Institute 2 years ago that Zach had actually suggested. And then I decided to further that and go to Denver Seminary for a year to get a master's certificate in spiritual direction.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. A lot of work, though.
A lot of work. And you'll be continuing that.
I will be continuing
about
that. I just started.
Yeah.
So probably August I'll be done.
Yeah. So you got a little ways to do that. So we're really excited to have you more involved. And tell us a little bit about when you heard about the job description for ClearView and what we were looking for. What excites you about that?
Well, first of all, I have very big shoes to fill. So I'm so thankful that Sharon will mentor me in some of that. When I read the job description, honestly, I was like, oh my word, this makes my heart sing. These are some things that I really love doing and had seen myself doing more and more, even through the pandemic with our crew staff, was just that listening piece and that trying to navigate with the Lord what was going on. And so small groups has been one of those places too, to just say, I love to see people connecting and really diving deep into some things in their lives, and to see how teams and groups can really learn from each other and grow from each other. So when I read the job description, I was just like, wow, this could really be my dream job.
Yeah. Yeah, and you had been feeling like God was stirring a change anyway. You didn't know what that was. So it's neat as we started to talk to feel like God was preparing you. We had been talking for seriously for a year, but a couple of years. Our small group leadership team had been talking, the elders had been talking and praying, the admin team had been. And when we started to come to this place of, hey, what does everyone think about Mitzi? It was just an excitement, from every team. It just really felt like there was a lot of God preparing the way for that, and you
made the intersection happen. We all stopped
Yeah.
at the intersection.
That's a great way to put it. So it's been really fun. We've been working on this pretty seriously for the last couple of months, and so it's been a little bit hard to not let that excitement spill out too quickly for you letting your donors know, which some of them are going to be watching this, and you've had a great donor base. People who have supported you on crew. Mitzi has raised her own support. And so honoring your donors and honoring those people that have really stepped in behind you for all these years, that's really important. And those of you that are watching that are donors, thank you for the years of ministry to Mitzi. So looking forward, Mitzi is going to be wrapping up things at crew through December, and officially at ClearView starting at the beginning of the year as she starts to come in. We have a small group leader retreat for you small group leaders who get to know Mitzi a little bit more at that. That's going to be at the first Saturday of February. So we're looking forward to being together with that. So we want to thank you all for your support. We know that sometimes, you've allowed a lot of trust in our leadership, the admin team, the elders, the small group leadership team, to make these decisions as we go through. And we so appreciate that. And we want you to know that if you have questions about this process, if there's anything that we can do to kind of answer or fill in the gaps that we've lost or left out, please reach out. You can email us at info@clearviewcommunity.org and we'll get in touch with you. But we wanted to be able to make this great announcement. It's Advent season, and it's a really neat thing. I'll mention one other piece that's on my mind about Mitzi being on staff and Mitzi being in the facility. We really have a need for female leadership with working with couples, working with ladies that come in throughout the week. And that's been more and more, as our church has grown. And so it really is a strength to have you on the team, but you working alongside us as we meet with people, or we have females that come in and you having some availability to sit and to listen and to give direction. So that's that spiritual direction piece, but it's also being a spiritual director, the leadership abilities you have, shepherding abilities you have, and being a female really is a huge a huge thing for us as a staff with our pastoral leadership. So we're really excited about that. Well, anything else that I've forgotten or thoughts that you want to give? Yeah, go for it, Sharon.
I'm thinking as we're sitting up here that it's been a journey of faith for everyone sitting on the podium, but also all the teams that are involved in this. So, 2 years ago to walk in and say, I don't know what's going on, but I feel like I might need to transition at some point. It's nothing dramatic. Just I sense that the Lord wants to move me on. And then for Kim and Zach to listen to that, and with their teams and the elders and the admin to finally get to the point where they said, we think this position needs to grow as we've changed and some things are happening in the pandemic. But that's a huge leap of faith to go from part-time to full-time. And then seeing it play out with it being Mitzi has been so exciting because we feel like it answered so many questions along the way that we didn't have answered when we first started the discussion. So we're really, really excited. Yeah. I am really excited about this and think it's really healthy and good for the church and came at a time in Mitzi's life where it was perfect timing.
Yeah. That was great. Well, thanks for joining us this Saturday morning. We hope you have a great weekend. We look forward to worshiping with you tomorrow and this Advent season. And we really appreciate all of your giving through this pandemic. There's been just no lack, and a lot of that has just been the faithfulness of God's people through you all. So thank you for your support of this budget. Thank you for support of our staff, and we wish you a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you soon.